Last week we looked at the sudden passing of the founder, primary financial supporter, and spiritual leader of the Laurel Church in its earliest days. When Dr. Oliver Hill died on June 21st, 1939 at 57 years of age, it was a devastating blow to the Laurel family. The church was faced with one of the most challenging questions that a family of believers can ever ask. Now what? What do you do when the leader's gone? Well, the answer quite simply is you press on. You may have a very heavy heart, but you press on. You may with all of your being wish that you could change things, but you press on. You may not even be sure about what the next move should be, but you press on. That's exactly what the people of Laurel did, led in part by Oliver Hill's family. After Dr. Hill's death, they went to work at making sure that his labor had not been in vain. And so for the next couple of videos, I'd like to focus on the Hill family's influence. And I want to begin in an unusual place. I have here two gifts. One says, another genuine handcrafted antique, December of 1980, made for Mark and Robin Smith. This one, also a candle holder, says another handcrafted antique, made in December 1982 for Mark and Robin Smith. In the early 80s, I was pulpit minister for the Mary Camp Road Church of Christ in Ocala, Florida. I was very, very young in the ministry. And I benefited hugely from the fact that my coworker was a full-time elder who had many years of ministry experience that he was willing to share with me. That elder's name was Sam Hill. And Sam is the man that handcrafted these two gifts. Whenever anybody met Sam, a couple of things immediately stood out. First, he was a UT fan, an in-your-face, totally committed, almost obnoxious UT fan. The second thing that stood out was that he had a deep love for the church that was started by his family. The first person to ever say the name Laurel Church of Christ in my hearing was Sam Hill, youngest son of Dr. Oliver Hill, Laurel's only homegrown preacher. Sam was about 10 years old when his dad died. I can only imagine how devastating it must have been to him emotionally, maybe even life-changing. Sam had the benefit of being surrounded by a strong, extended family and a loving mentor. W.B. Norris, Laurel's first-time preacher, had been in his position less than a year when Oliver Hill, the man primarily responsible for hiring him, suddenly died, leaving behind a devastated 10-year-old son. W.B. felt drawn to Sam. More importantly, Sam felt drawn to him. As Sam went through the critical teenage years, the man he most admired and he felt closest to was W.B. Norris. By the time Sam left for college, his mind was already made up. He intended to spend his life in full-time kingdom work. To most people, a pulpit is just a speaking stand made out of wood. But to those of us that feel a call for ministry, it's a sacred and holy place. As a preacher, first for a church in Lexington, Kentucky, then for a church in Auburn, Alabama, Sam specialized in working with campus churches, churches that were a lot like Laurel. He often told me that one of his greatest joys had been the 30 or so years that he'd spent ministering to college students with his wife Myra at his side. Would Sam's life have taken a different turn had he not lost his dad at such a critical time of his life? What if W.B. Norris had not been here for Sam to have as a mentor? Would he have still gone into ministry? These are questions that only God can answer. But this much is certain. At Laurel, we can point to one man who grew up as part of this family and then went on to do great things for the kingdom. Sam Hill is Laurel's first homegrown preacher. We have yet to see who will be the second. That's this week's Laurel Minute.